Blind tasting. José Souto takes Paul roe stalking and teaches him how to get the best from a haunch.
What we need to do is open the socket, cut through the tendon and release the ball.
Fishing for Packham. Fieldsports member Nick Edwards takes up a day on the Itchin with Andy fall that he bought to support us last year.
Not what we were really coming for though, was it really, eh?
Facebook and Instagram seem to be set on closing down shooting sports. We have the results of our viewer survey.
It's all legal, but we seem to be being treated like criminals.
James Head from Crackshot gives us his views on which FAC airgun to buy. Lewis McFarlane showcases Bergara rifles.
Tell me this isn't an aggressive palm press.
Oh,
okay.
an aggressive palm
There we
press.
go, aggressive palm swell.
David has the news on the Fieldsports News Stump, and James brings you the latest YouTube hunting films in this week's Hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Chef José Souto knows how to present game, not just as a viable option for a menu in a restaurant, but taking a wild animal and making it look as appealing and appetising as any cut of meat gracing the plate of a quality establishment.
And there we go. That's our loin. Yeah, lovely prepared loin. Look at that. What a fantastic piece of meat. Any of you guys that went to the store?
Before he takes Paul out on a roebuck stalk this evening, he treats us to a wonderful display of butchery, selecting cuts from a roe haunch that he says taste better than the loin.
What we need to do is open the socket, cut through the tendon and release the ball. Try that.
José is so clear and informative, we're going to run the whole thing as a separate film. It'd be a shame to slice and dice it.
Right then, José, what's the plan of action?
Right, so we're here in Norfolk,
Yes,
Packham,
sunny
Norfolk.
Norfolk.
Great bit of ground, really, really nice bit of ground. Basically quite a few rodeo on here, quite a lot of rodeo on here. We've also got some Chinese water deer, very few, just starting to come in here. And we've got some really, really good muntjac. I mean, I've shot 2 gold medals in one day here.
Really?
Right? Yeah, basically on that. So there's some nice deer here.
Good muntjac country, it's
And there are some really nice bucks to be shot on here. Norfolk's a bit of a funny place. I mean, sometimes you can get some really good heads. It's a bit hit and miss, really.
Yeah.
Best thing I've ever shot on Norfolk is probably a silver medal. I've not shot anything better than that.
Yeah.
But the carcasses are lovely, great eating. We should see quite a few deer.
We last filmed these two a year ago. Their mission was to get an animal for José's popular Game Fair deer carcass breakdown demo. Unfortunately, we blanked then, so there is a bit of pressure this evening. It's not long before we bump a buck. We now need to work around the field to see if we can get back onto him. Skirting around a munty, the only reaction we get is with a doe through heavy cover. Having nearly done a full circuit, a roe kid makes an appearance.
We come through the hedge first of all, there's a nice buck, well, a young buck out in the middle of the field, right in the middle of the field, and caught us a bit unawares really, so he come back in, went around the far of the field to try and get the wind right. Wind changed direction a little, but luckily, after a big loop round, the buck's come back out, so we're trying to get the wind on him over the top, rather than going back along this bottom edge, which he'd probably catch us then with his vision, but we go up here, get the wind right, just creep over the top. Bingo. We'll see. I'm quite relaxed. Pressure's on José. It's great.
José decides to close the gap. The first opportunity is lost as the buck sits down. When it either wins or hears us, it stands. Paul takes his chance.
Well done, pal.
That's the first thing I've shot since the shoulder up.
And you're right.
Yeah, it's alright, just put my arm
Oh,
up.
me and Dave are going to have to carry you to the car now.
I mean, I can't do any dragging. No, my other arm's good. The other arm's good, don't worry. But yeah, it's the first.
Doctor's note with you.
Yeah, no, it's quite funny actually. I don't know if you know, I hesitated to make sure. I don't normally do that, just up and out, bang. But right, okay, better make sure I'm okay, and yeah.
I was holding my breath and I was thinking, come on.
I know, I took the time.
I saw one shot that went,
Yeah.
came and went, I was like,
Yeah,
come on.
no,
José.
let's get this one right. Pressure's on, because I've got, yeah, and it's amazing how sort of just an arm injury, just like even though it's just on holding the gun still, there's a mental strain of like, you've got to get it right.
Yeah.
And when the old pain receptors kick in.
I suppose there's got to be a certain element of, you know, you want to get the shot right, you want to basically knock the animal down, but also, because you haven't done it for a while,
Yeah.
doubting yourself.
Definitely, 100%. It's like dating, you normally just go straight into the mode and just get a job done. But then I thought, right, I've got to make sure, so I want to next year, because obviously I want to try and make it perfect for the table, because we have plenty of time. I thought, right, take my time.
Yeah.
Hopefully pull it off.
Perfect, mate. Absolutely perfect. Nice one. That's going to be a lovely bit of eating venison, that is.
Jose
Perfect.
always makes a point of bleeding his deer. For him,
Really nice,
this is
I'll
all
bleed it.
about the food chain, which brings us on to the lead debate.
It's not important, it's imperative, because basically our right to do this, to basically harvest our own food and bring food to the table basically from the countryside, not only with deer, but when we're talking about things like partridge, pheasants and all that sort of stuff, our right to do it will be stopped if we carry on using lead, because basically we've got no excuse to put it into the food chain. Supermarkets are basically all ganging up one after the other, basically not wanting to take product with lead in it. So what we've got to do is basically not give them that excuse.
What rounds are you using, Paul?
It's the 80 grain 243 in copper. I don't know if you heard it whack.
Yeah,
It's been half whack, isn't it? You know. And do you know what? More and more I use it, the more. I mean, on the blade, they sort of perfected the 308 straight away, but the 243 took some doing, and yeah, now I've shot a lot of stuff with it. And
Maybe I need to try that on the 75.
if you're going for different quarry, you've got to think what you're shooting, rather than say, you know, this covers everything. You know, you might have to go up the gauge a bit or down the gauge a bit to what you're hunting. That's the only thing, which is, and again, a problem now because we can't get stuff on the licenses so quick. So it's a bit of a catch-22, but you've got to think about it more.
That is the conversation of the moment, isn't it? That basically with copper rounds there is not something that will shoot everything.
No, it's not.
With one for the larder, Jose takes Paul to the other side of his ground. There is a lot of deer here.
There you go. Is it a buck? Go on, then.
Paul hands Jose his Sacco 90 Adventure, the model that replaced the Finlight 2.
Oh.
The next shot again drops the buck where it stands.
He went down, did he? Good. One each.
What do you reckon?
There's-
Trading your old wooden one now. For the...
No. I like my wood.
Good though, isn't it? Not me again.
Good
reaction, bang.
straight down.
Well, copper does the job, I'm
Yeah.
afraid to say. Can't deny
Nice
it.
rifle. Yep.
I thought you
Very
could carry it now.
That's the new version of what, Paul?
So this is the Adventure. So this is the Finlight 2. So a few upgrades on it. Cheek piece, just for cheek piece, which I do like. Obviously got a new system with the bolt and a bit different head, and the mounting system, Picatinny rail, and there's obviously the trigger. We got the trigger, easy action, easy access to.
So that's like on the
adjust
90.
it. Yeah.
The same with the adjustment.
Yeah.
Have you ever adjusted that? Because I haven't bothered with mine. Mine's
Yeah.
perfect.
I straight away just light as I can.
Oh yes. Look at that. Oh,
What a way to end the evening, with a buck each, Paul's bionic shoulder intact, and some delicious venison for the barbecue. For more information about the Sacco 90 range and the Sacco Powerhead blade ammo, go to sacco.global. Thank you, Paul and Jose. And to watch that film of Jose breaking down a venison haunch plus tips for barbecuing steaks, click on the link. Now, what's in this week's Fieldsports Extra?
Pretty much there, but
Paul Childerley on which steel cartridges he uses.
fact.
Richard Bailey on the risks the Peak District faces from wildfires. And the blessing of hound puppies.
May they be a good hound and show to their master.
There's more from Richard Bailey in news. Plus prize next week is a flask and cup set kindly donated by Leicestershire and online gun shop Vale Field and Game. It includes a set of 4 1-ounce stainless cups with leather case that attaches together for a neat little unit. Become a Fieldsports member now with insurance and watch Fieldsports Extra to find out how to enter our free competitions. Link to that below. Now, a reason to drink. It's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. Queen guitarist Sir Brian May think that the show must go on, but not everybody's a fan of his part in a new BBC documentary. The musician is fronting a programme which explores the use of culling to control the UK's badger population, halting the spread of bovine tuberculosis in cattle, which they carry. The show is called Brian May, The Badgers, Farmers and Me. It goes out on Friday evening, the 23rd of August 2024 on BBC Two. The Countryside Alliance has already criticised the BBC for choosing Sir Brian as host. It says the programme breaches impartiality rules because of his previous campaigning to ban badger culling. Recent figures from DEFRA show that bovine TB has declined by 56% since culling began. Under the new government, DEFRA promises to end the badger cull, but has given no date for when. Some believe the Brian May TV show is a softening up process by the BBC ahead of the announcement of a date. Farmer Gareth Wyn-Jones is involved in the show and had this to say about the broadcast.
The only thing I've got to do is congratulate Brian May for bringing this into the forefront again, because it's opened that conversation. But hopefully, you know, whatever they put on that programme does have scientific backing. Because, you know, if you're trying to give somebody a solution, I think it has to be backed by scientists, and not just one vet, by many vets that believe this. So we'll wait and see Friday night and see how things come along, and hope that we can see an end for this awful disease for not just the cattle, the family farms, but as well hopefully we can help wildlife as well, which is the hedgehogs, the ground nesting birds and the bumblebees.
Chris Packham has escaped punishment from the police and the BBC. Packham said customers of Barclays should stick their heads in buckets of petrol and set fire to themselves. The comments were at an anti-grouse shooting event and led to widespread media criticism. Derbyshire Police confirms it had also received a complaint, but say it is taking no action against him. The BBC says in an official statement given to the Daily Telegraph that it isn't taking action as Packham is a freelancer, not an employee of the corporation, and that he isn't on air at the moment. Packham has used the freedom the BBC is giving him to record a video for social media attacking trail hunting.
I'm watching Chris Packham's latest video delivering accusation after accusation against a hunt for animal abuse and even trespass. These charges do not come from the police, they come from hunt saboteurs, and which is worse, this is hate speech. If Chris Packham stood outside a church or a mosque or a travellers camp and said those people in there are guilty of the list of the following crimes, he would be arrested. Why is he not being arrested for doing the same to a hunt and its followers?
Does someone have to die in a moorland wildfire before DEFRA changes the rules and common sense prevails? That's the question being asked by a leading conservationist. Richard Bailey took these video images at Meltham in Yorkshire a week after a huge fire took hold in the bone-dry heather. It happened on a moor previously managed for grouse shooting, but has been left unmanaged since Natural England banned gamekeepers from carrying out controlled burning. It took several days to extinguish, with firefighters from across Yorkshire involved around the clock. A discarded disposable barbecue started the blaze. Following a wet summer in 2024 and a building up of fuel in the UK's uplands, Richard fears it's only a matter of time before there's another blaze, with the potential for a much more serious outcome.
At some stage, the penny has to drop with these organisations and government and say, you know, this policy is not working. We cannot keep going by with these wildfire events at some stage, the only thing that will change it is when, you know, a human being is severely, you know, cause damage to him or life is lost.
One of the world's oldest gun makers has fallen foul of Meta's social media restrictions. John Rigby & Co. of London has been making and maintaining stalking and hunting rifles since the 18th century and even supplied one to Sir Winston Churchill. Facebook has suspended its page, making it the latest victim of Facebook's parent Meta, which has done the same to numerous other field sports organisations operating legitimate businesses. Rigby says it is working with Meta to find a solution. You can find out more about this issue later in the show. A new free deer stalking course is open to applicants. Available to 20 deer stalkers, it's aimed at those wanting to take either the PDS1 or PDS2 certificate offered by the Shooting and Hunting Academy. The offer is open to people based in the High Weald around Sussex, Kent and Surrey. There are 10 funded places on each level of the course. Those taking part will learn key elements of deer management. If you're interested, get in touch before the offer closes on the 13th of September 2024. The link's below. Staying with qualifications, and in Scotland, anyone with a PDS1 or DSC1 could be paid to shoot deer. The incentive by Nature Scot will offer cash to stalkers with their own permissions to shoot deer. The cash is available to stalkers in an area south of Loch Ness and in the Central Belt. Worth £70 per animal, the scheme applies to female and juvenile deer. It starts in the autumn of 2024 and runs to March 2025. For more on how to take part, there's a link below. They've already spent nearly £8 million to eradicate stoats on Orkney. Now the RSPB-backed project has been given a further £4 million. Stoats like this one have been identified as a major threat to wildlife on Orkney, where they were first spotted in 2010 as invaders from the Scottish mainland. The project to remove them employs 40 people and has culled more than 6,000 of the animals using traps and dogs, a cost of more than £1,300 per dead stoat. The new money comes from the Heritage Lottery Fund and the Scottish Government. Thanks to Orkney's Darren Pickover for the video which shows a stoat taking its 6th rabbit in a week. New research in the US directly linking deer stalking with increased gun violence has been described as the most poorly conceived study ever published. The Second Amendment Foundation has discredited the research paper brought by the Journal of the American Medical Association. The study uses data gathered by the Gun Violence Archive, which says it has recorded spikes in gun-related crime in the US coinciding with deer hunting seasons. The SAF say the study is fundamentally flawed because the only source quoted is unbalanced and describes the data as ludicrous. And finally, it's time to announce the winner of our fundraising raffle for the professional game chiller. The Landig LU900 is a neat unit for any stalker or smallholder with a price of £2,370. We offered you the chance to win one for a tenner a ticket, and the winner is Greg Parkhouse from Lincolnshire. Thanks to refrigeration specialist Fisher UK for providing this prize. The money raised goes to help with the running of our news output across all our platforms and generally making mischief. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. And David reminds us all, please do like and subscribe under our films. Thank you.
Welcome to Farming Britain.
The new Farming Britain is out. We join young farmer George Lawrence, whom you may remember from the Aimpoint Academy, explaining how to harvest turf. Neil Rowntree is getting a lesson in soil sniffing.
Will I ever recover from being caught soil sniffing?
And Andy the Crowman Crow is explaining how to avoid grain fires as he harvests his wheat.
To get that lump like that, there's so much moisture in it, that'll heat up.
Click on the link below to watch it. Next, we're out fishing on a chalk stream.
Hey, to whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright, so quit your worrying. I get it, the odds can stack back against the wall, but even consider it such.
Well, first of all, Nick, welcome to Lower Itchen Fishery. It's a delight to have you here. It's one of my favourite places in the world to fish. I think we've had a little bit of a walk around. You've already seen why, I think.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I mean, what's not to like? There's fish galore everywhere. I'm like a little child, really.
I was going to say, you are like a kid at Christmas.
just starting fishing again. So no, this I'm so excited to do this. It's absolutely amazing.
First of all, let's talk a little bit about the reason we're here. So you bought a day at auction in our campaign for Fieldsports to try to fight Chris Packham in court. Just interested in why you did that, why you were so compelled to kind of stick your hand in your pocket.
I think it goes perhaps more than just Chris Packham. I think it's more about field sports in general. So whether that's hunting, shooting, fishing, I think it's important that we protect what's best for our own sports and pastimes, really. And you know, misinformation in the media, personalities abusing their positions, you know, it's just not something I really support. So you know, I'm all for everyone supporting each other and making sure that we can fight where we need to, really.
Everybody needs to play nicely.
Absolutely they do, absolutely they do.
The other thing, of course, is you've been a member of the channel for quite a long time.
Indeed.
You know, what do you feel that you get from the service we provide?
I think it's just amazingly informative. I think, you know, the variety, although there should be more fishing in it, I think.
Well,
so here, and hopefully we can change that. But no, I think it's lots of variety and some entertaining elements to it all as well.
Our mission today is to get this man here doing some river fishing, because primarily you're a stillwater angler, aren't you?
I am indeed, yes. So very much stillwater sort of trout fishing, small syndicate lakes, only about 4.5 acres.
Well, I think we've picked a good day for it. We've already seen 1 or 2 fish cruising about, so we'll talk about tactics and all that sort of malarkey as we go. But yeah, let's get on with it, shall we?
Absolutely.
Super proud of how we held it down on the way up. Can't wait for our day to ball. This is a layup.
The technique I want to show you today, which is something you won't have done fishing still waters, is essentially fishing something like a French leader or Czech nymphing, which I'm sure you've heard of as an angler. If you haven't heard of it, there's lots of videos out there that will show you how to do that. And today I'm going to kind of give Nick a little bit of help in sort of learning the techniques. It's a lovely way of fishing. So what we're doing here is using a weighted nymph. So this is a tiny little fly that's tied with lots of tungsten on it to make it sink quickly. And what that allows you to do is imitate natural insects that are hatching underneath the water's surface. So Nick, looking at all those fish that are out in front of us, it might look really promising, but actually it's not particularly good news, because what they are is sea trout. They're not regular brownies, they are sea trout. So they're fish that have migrated up the River Itchen from the mouth of the Solent, just a few miles downstream. They come up the river to spawn, and when they're in spawning mode, which is where they're heading now, they're not often in the mood to feed. Well, we've tried big flies, we've tried small flies, we've tried medium-sized flies, and you know what that means? Nothing's working. Let's go and have some lunch.
I agree, let's go for some lunch.
Oh, yes, it's true. Brighter days are straight ahead. Follow me, won't be misled. Just look up, don't hang your head, and we'll get.
Well, Nick and I seem to have been indoctrinated into something called the Tuesday Lunch Club. Which was completely accidental, but quite good fun, mate, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't need much fishing going on, but
no, there seemed to be a lot of red wine drinking.
Yeah,
and they seem to be having a very nice time.
Red wine aficionados, I think.
Yes,
define
indeed.
it as being.
We've moved into our afternoon, having blanked in the morning. Nick's just caught a fish.
I have. Not what we were really coming for, though, was it? Really, eh? No, thankfully, I think Ben caught it on camera.
Okay, after lunch we are using a slightly different type of presentation. Still using a nymph, but that nymph is suspended underneath an indicator. This can be called clink and dink, so you're using a clink hammer which floats on the surface, a little short length of line, and a tiny nymph suspended underneath it. Got him! Yes! Well done, Nick Edwards. Oh! Isn't that amazing? Just a little change in presentation.
Yeah. Oh!
I think there's a small chance that might be a sea trout.
Oh!
It's come off. Can you believe it?
Hey ho.
Fish on at last, and I think that's a big grayling. It's interesting, you know, walking around these bits of river. That's a lovely big grayling. You look at the river, and this is the only bit I've seen on this stretch, Nick, that's in a bit of shade.
Yeah. Oh, well done. Fantastic.
Look at this. Mr. Edwards is in. Excellent views.
Another little grayling.
Oh,
You've got a landing net though, I think.
I have. Beautiful.
And we're off.
Oh, I'm chuffed to bits. I mean, they're only little, aren't they? But
No,
it doesn't
no,
matter a bit. Bertie, come out. As wriggly as anything.
No, he's
Looks out.
Looks out.
Barbless
I'll take
cert,
it,
there you
yeah.
go.
There you go.
Well, it's been a glorious attempt this afternoon to try and catch a couple of trout. We've had 2 grayling.
Yeah.
I think you've seen how kind of interesting this river can be. Interesting,
Absolutely.
not always a good thing. It's been good fun though, hasn't it?
It's been fantastic fun. Thank you very much. It has been absolutely superb. I've really enjoyed it. You know,
good. I'm very glad.
Hooked what we suspect might be a sea trout as well. So it wasn't all bad. That was probably user error more than than anything else in terms of not actually landing it. But no, it's been thoroughly enjoyable. It's a fascinating piece of water. I mean, some of the deep dark pools here and some of the size of the fish, the dark silhouettes you can see swimming around here. You know, another day you can just imagine this must be absolutely mad fishing here. But it's been tough today, but that's fishing, isn't it?
Certainly is. 2 questions.
Yeah.
1, you've clearly enjoyed it, which is what it's all about.
Yeah.
2, as a kind of dyed-in-the-wool stillwater angler, does this light the flame make you want to maybe have another go in rivers again?
Without question, I should be doing some more chalk stream stuff. So thank you very much for introducing me to it, Andy.
Mission accomplished, I reckon.
Thanks, Nick and Andy. And it's been a bad week for Chris Packham. Our story about his appearance at his Hen Harrier Day, where he surprised everyone by telling Barclays customers to set fire to themselves, has gone far and wide.
But if anyone here is banking with Barclays, then I suggest you stick your head in a bucket of fuel and set fire to it.
Similarly, our story about Hunting Kind's initiative to make hunting folk into an entity that can be protected by law made it into the international media and seems to have been a shot in the arm for hunting people up and down the country. It's thanks to our membership, the support of people like Nick, like you, that we are able to help push these news items and get them in front of a wider audience. And here's another story: how badly we in the world of hunting and shooting are treated by Facebook and Instagram. Here are the results of our viewer survey. Here, shown in one of her videos on TikTok, British Olympic hopeful Courtney Palmer-Jones speaks for all of us when she complains that Facebook's restrictions on guns are a form of censorship. Her interview appears on the BBC website, linked to it below. She is a victim of pointless virtue signalling by social media execs, a growing trend that does nothing to keep society safe from nutters with guns. That, at least, is the conclusion of a survey of Fieldsports Channel viewers. Here's one of them.
Social media's turned into a bit of a nightmare for anybody involved in the wider field of shooting. We've had various pages taken down on Facebook for reloading. As admin on the page, not just myself, there's 3 other admins on the page. We do not allow anything on the page, on the buy and sell page, that shouldn't be on there, that is on a ticket or anything like that. We're sort of very strict. We monitor every post before it's published on there to make sure there isn't anything, and we've still lost 2 pages. I don't know how we get around it. It's, you know, it's just getting absolutely ridiculous.
We asked the Fieldsports Channel audience to tell us about their experiences chatting about their pastimes, guns, shooting and hunting on Facebook and Instagram. As you can imagine, the results are not positive for the Meta management. Just 15% said they had encountered no difficulties. For the rest, they faced punishments ranging from Facebook jail to outright bans.
The regulations that are being put in place aren't being monitored correctly, and they haven't got the ability to do it. So therefore, companies like Viking or gun shops that are legally selling firearms and ammunition are being told their posts are being removed, even though they're a business, and it is perfectly within any legal requirements from Facebook. But as we've often seen from dealers, organisations and manufacturers and distributors, they've had posts taken down. We've then appealed, and we've either had no response or we've had a AI sort of response saying we've upheld it, that's the end of it.
Facebook and Instagram hit more than half of our audience with a community rules violation, and about a third with hate speech or violent content. For 15% of our audience, the removal of content or a page was caused by a post from a third party who either ignored the platform's rules or deliberately chose to post against those rules. For those running businesses online, this is the same as having Facebook and Instagram lock the doors of their premises. They didn't take it lying down. 56% of our viewers hit by a violation appealed against the decision. Of course, half report both loss of revenue and additional time and cost to establish new social media profiles. Facebook and Instagram's service is not quick. It took them an average of 5 days to resolve these issues.
Well, Facebook, Instagram, all of the media outlets that we all knowingly love and use every single day seem to be attacking our industry at the present moment in time. I've had various posts removed and then had to appeal, and then they've been reinstated because it turns out they don't go against Facebook's guidelines. But it does reach the point now where you're worried about what you can post, whether a certain picture of a certain rifle, for example, is going to automatically get your page closed down, which happens a lot. Only a few days ago my page was unpublished for about an hour and a half for drugs, which makes no sense at all. But this is the world we live in, and hopefully it will improve as per Facebook's guidelines, as brick and mortar premises here in the UK selling firearms as we do, we're actually allowed to advertise, so I don't understand.
Of the businesses who answered our survey, 83% encountered content removal and 59% had a temporary ban from Facebook or Instagram. We had a handful of our own guys, our influencers, who answered the survey. They all had problems with social media restrictions, with content removal and shadow banning, which means reduced visibility, the two that they suffered from most.
It just basically means that nobody can see your post outside of your followers. So you know, to gain any traction on a post or anything like that, if you're trying to advertise a product or anything, it's not getting out to the wider audience, it's only being seen by your followers.
Most reported loss of followers and decreased engagement as a result. For individuals, there's a greater than average sense of helplessness about the big social media platforms. Only 28% appealed, 72% did not.
Meta don't seem to like shooting sports, and it's, you know, a fully legal sport, and it doesn't matter whether it's here, whether it's America or wherever, it's all legal, but we, you know, seem to be being treated like criminals.
So what could Facebook and Instagram do to recognise that regulated hunting and shooting sports have nothing to do with backyard bomb making or the criminal use of guns? Our viewers' suggestions range from the practical to the inspired. You can read some of them in the article which accompanies this film. Link below. Thanks all who took part in that. We'll be putting that in front of Meta, the company behind Facebook and Instagram, to show that we have a voice and we want them to listen to us. Now, to air guns. James Head of Crackshot gives us his views on FAC air guns.
This is a Daystate Red Wolf. This is the high power. It's not just a normal FAC, this is a high power. So the difference with Daystate is they do a FAC powered gun, which is around 30 foot-pound, and they do a high power, which is capable of 60 foot-pound. You need an FAC to own this, unfortunately. I think there's a lot of people that would like it because of the power. Power. Everyone wants power, but you'd need an FAC, I'm afraid. This would be on the same licensing as a 243, 17 HMR, whatever you know, any type of centre fire. So I'll be using this in the application of I'm shooting rabbits from one fixed position. I'm shooting them from varying different distances, possibly out to further than what I'd be, you know, sort of happy to shoot with a sub 12 air rifle. And where it's really useful is for people shooting like corvids or something where they're a little bit more wily and just shooting them out that little bit further distance. Also shooting them around a farmyard. This is the electronic version of obviously the Red Wolf's electronic one. This can be turned down quite quickly in a few easy steps. So it makes it sort of the ultimate farmyard gun, really. I can go and shoot rats close range in a barn without puncturing roofs, but I can also go out and then start pushing the ranges out a little bit further on some other quarry around the farm. Yeah, this is a lot heavier than a normal sub 12 foot-pound or sub 12 foot-pound gun, and you can see the barrel's ridiculously long compared to a normal sub 12 air rifle. Just to help get that power and that accuracy at longer range, the normal FAC version of this would be a little bit shorter, but this being the HP is why it's that little bit longer. This will cost you $14.50. New, these are about $2,700. It is a lot more expensive than a lot than you know, say rimfires now. A lot you can pick up a cheap bolt action CZ rimfire for £150. But where this has got an advantage over that you can use this anywhere around the farmyard scene without causing problems. And I probably wouldn't want to use a rimfire, especially around sheds with the ricochet risks and stuff like that. So this is the FAC version of a Wolverine R. So this is the exact same length, shape and weight as what a normal sub 12 would be. This is what they call just the FAC. So it's running at 30 foot-pound in 2.2. So taking that out compared to the sub 12 version of this, you would never know any difference. It will cost slightly more, but not as much as the HP. So from a new price, you're probably looking at about £150 on top of the sub 12 price, but the HP would be further increase on top of that. With this rifle, you'll probably stick to definitely a small, more genuine airgun quarry. So your rats, your pigeons, your crows, your rabbits. This is not the sort of thing I would be happy to sort of shoot that slightly bigger game of that, your close range fox or something. I would stick that to the red wolf we just had, which can be up to that 60 foot-pound with the heavier pellets. Very much like a bit more punchy sub 12 air rifle. No different in the weight, shape or anything, but you'll notice the difference when you're actually shooting quarry. A lot of the times what we have noticed that when people have had their variations on their licensing for an FAC air rifle, they have put the caliber, but the actual constabulary have put the license back as just FAC air rifle. So that sort of opens your your options up that you could choose the caliber upon ordering or purchasing, but generally try and stick the caliber down just in case they do put a caliber down. So in here we have got the BRK, which is Brocock but now branded as BRK, and this is the BRK Ghost. So this one was bought from ourselves as a 177 sub 12 foot-pound gun originally, but the customer has since then applied for a firearms license and wanted this one uprated. So this particular gun has now been modified by Brocock to be FAC. So putting a new barrel on this particular gun is undoing a grub screw here, and your barrel kit will just slide out. So it's just one retaining screw for your actual barrel, and you can just undo. There's a part of the back of the rifle here. You undo that and you can change your pellet probes. You will need to change the pellet probe along with the barrel. But once you've done that, the transfer port on the barrel will destine how much power you get out of those barrels. It is a little bit more complicated on your licensing. You will then need to put a variation. You'll need to have a slot on your rock for the gun and whatever caliber it once was. So this one, the customer's got a variation for a 177 FAC air rifle, but he's now had to put a variation in to have two other barrel slots. So a 2.2 barrel and a 30 caliber barrel for this particular gun. They just go so if he gets pulled over for any reason, or the police come to check his guns, he's got a license for everything. So whether it's got the 30 caliber barrel or the 22 caliber barrel, he's perfectly legal. So these retail at £1,600 brand new. If you buy it at sub 12, there is a cost for it being extra in FAC, but obviously if you do decide to go in the market of getting it up into the FAC market, it's probably around the 350 mark, and the barrels around a similar sort of price for each barrel. These are actually very popular, being this sort of shape for rats, shorter, and it's a lot more compact, so using it around sheds and everything. But yes, I do look a little bit like a soldier walking around with this one, but I think once I got my night vision on, I think a lot of people would steer clear of me anyway.
For more about Crackshot, its range of airguns and its ranges where you can try them out, visit crackshot.uk. Thanks, James. On full bore rifles, Bergara's man in the UK, Lewis McFarlane, talks through the range.
So this is the Crest Carbon, our 100% carbon fibre stock. It's got a spine running all the way through to give it rigidity. Unlike some carbon fibre stocks, they're a little bit soft, whereas this has a rigid spine all the way through, so it doesn't wobble, doesn't flex. On top of that, we have our B14 Wilderness Action, performance trigger, AICS magazine as more or less standard on all our rifles these days, and it has the Cure carbon fibre barrel. Comes with the Omni brake, and it is screw cut 5/8 per 24. The thing with the Crest, be it the steel or the carbon, it has a very aggressive palm swell, which leads itself to your quick shots for driven type hunting. It's also the profile on it, as you can see, it's pretty much a straight pistol grip. For those that want something that they can really get their hand into with a glove and grip hold of, this kind of fits the bill, to be perfectly honest. Strangely, those that like the crest don't like the thumb hole, or if they like the thumb hole, they don't like the crest. It's something to do with this grip right here. It's never anything about the weight or anything like that. It's always something in the way the grip is. It's really quite strange. This rifle comes in, again, same as more or less all of our series these days, 223 all the way through to your Magnum cartridges and just about everything in between. This one's around about the £1,800 mark retail. Yeah, it's about £6.5 pounds, depending on which cartridge and chambering you have it in. It's a thing of beauty, really, isn't it? It really is. It really is.
You like that one then?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's. I love the pistol grip. I love the feel of it, the way the aggressive palm swell on that.
I've never heard of an aggressive palm swell.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's very strange because you look at shotguns, they have like a palm swell, so you can drive the shotgun around, and this has a very similar one, so you can actually drive the gun for your driven shoots. Feel it. Seriously, feel it. Tell me this isn't an aggressive palm swell.
Oh,
okay.
That's an aggressive palm
there we
swell.
go, aggressive
Jeez.
palm swell. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean some rifles we have the B14 Timber, which has a palm swell as well, and you can feel it, and it has a textured edge to it, and it does stay in the hand. This has slightly more palm swell to it, which makes it more aggressive. There you go. So it doesn't need the textured face to it. While there is texture there, obviously from the carbon fibre, it just sort of, you could slam your hand into it should you need a quick shot or driven, and it just sort of straight into the position.
Thanks, Lewis. Next, from rifles to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube. Brought to you by James Martington, it's Hunting YouTube.
This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the latest and best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. Here's what I picked for you this week. First, thanks to viewer Marco for sending us this one from ABC Australia, which he describes as a usually lefty media outlet. It's a surprisingly positive film featuring hunters who are turning away from packaged meat to stalk their own dinner. Here in the UK, catapult hunter Wayne Martin is doing his own version of harvesting his dinner, with a film about taking rabbits with snares and an airgun, with a bit of fieldcraft advice thrown in too. Over to Norway, where Daniel Torsen is catching his dinner the hard way, walking up ptarmigan over dogs in the mountains. It's all in Norwegian with no subtitles available, but it's easy enough to follow what's going on. Next, here's an epic 2-hour film from This Is Africa, telling the story of a safari that takes them from Zimbabwe to Tanzania, shooting hyena, elephant, kudu, impala, and more. Back to the UK, and here's Chris Dalton with the latest in his Outfitter Tales series. They're out foxing, reviewing a new thermal scope from Infrared, and teaching some bushcraft skills too. Malk from Fox Takers sends us this film. It's a short one that tells the story of the first fox he shot with his new thermal scope, a Hike Micro Alpex 4K, mounted on his 223 Tikka T3X with a 50 grain home load. Here's the latest in a series of quality films from Highland Outdoors. In this one, they're decoying pigeons over laid wheat in Warwickshire and make a good bag of over 100. And finally, our old friend Russ the Rat Basher is back with another film of rat after rat getting whacked with his air rifle. For once though, he's left out the jokey commentary, which I personally find makes it easier to watch. I'll be interested to hear what you think. That's it for this week. I've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you'd like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, jamesm@fieldsportschannel.tv.
And that's it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please whiz over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. You can click to like us there on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, pop your email address into our register page and we'll contact you about this show, Field Sports Britain. It's at 7 PM UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Field Sports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.